Hello, everybody. Oh, what happened? That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I was actually going to bring up the schedule to see who all needed to do that. So go ahead. Hello. How are we? Good. So let's see. Do you guys all know when you're getting your pictures?
Yeah.
Yes.
We are positive. What time is NZ?
Why are we doing? Oh, because I guess there's not that many that are here today. 1:15.
1:15.
Yeah. So for this class, what are we? When do we do that here? 9:15. Oh, so where are we up here? We're at 8:30 to 9 o'clock. So I'm gonna write it here. So that anybody that needs to leave this period does. So 8:45. And then it's 9 o'clock. So the only people leaving this, which is you.
I'm not watching.
Brooke, yeah, and clearly, I guess the Austin and Aiden are down.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here we are. Here's our small class. I guess we'll kind of hang out and wait. So we don't need this anymore, right? There's very few people signing in as well. All I have today is some practice work for you to do with finding circumference and things like that. So what I might do right now, since there's not too many people in here and there's gonna be kind of people coming in and out, I was gonna go through it all together with you, but it doesn't really seem to make sense to do that with 5, 6 of you. So I'm gonna pass it out to get you to get started. I can get you going on it, and then when friends come back or Brooke comes back, she can let you when tell others to do it. Those of you that are at home, this was uploaded into a PDF. As I was just saying, I was planning on kind of going through it all together, but today's picture day, so there's not many people in the room right now. So you can open it up and feel free to get started working on it. If you have questions, you can stay in the Google Meet and I'll help you. But I guess I wasn't thinking that we were gonna have lots of disruptions in the class if nobody came here. But this first page that you open up, you guys that are seeing, it's very, very simple. So just finding circumference of circles if you're given the diameter and you're given the radius. Okay, so to get you going, we have 2 formulas. Your diameter is the whole length across. So if you're given the diameter, you would multiply it by pi. If you're given the half length, all you have to do is multiply that by 2 first.
We have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, we're working on it, yep. If you're given the half length, the radius, so if you look at this first little example here, the radius is 10, so what's the diameter gonna be? 20. So you have to make sure that when you're finding circumference, you're always using the diameter. So for this one, you would do 20 times pi. Always based off the diameter. That's the only thing you have to pay attention to for the front. You're given the diameter, multiply it by pi. You're given the radius, multiply it by 2 first. So you can start there, just going through the first 10. They're very, very straightforward, very simple. The rest do get a little bit more confusing. So depending on how many people are back in the room, I might start walking you through some of the more complicated ones. But those of you that are at home, like I said, you can open up that PDF just to work on it. Yeah. If you have questions, you can stay in the Google Meet to ask the questions.
Wasn't really anticipating this time.
So for number 1, you're given the diameter. So how do you find circumference if your diameter is 10? What? Oh, 5. I thought you said by 5. And I was like, that. Multiply it by pi. So for number 1, 10 times pi gives you what, Gwen? I saw it on your paper.
Times pi,
10 times pi. 10 times 3.14.
31.41.
Times 3.
So that's what you're doing for all of those. Take the whole length and multiply it by 3.14. Pay attention to the bottom row. Again, those of you that are at home, if you open this up, it's just in a PDF, you're just working on it. Questions, ask in the Google Meet.
I've written that, and then we have to write sentences.
What are you talking about when you write sentences?
And find
Yes. I'm not too far ahead.
sentences.
Just put it on this first pen. So 1 through 6 exactly the same. You have to take a minute to think about the bottom ones.
Check your right hand.
So maybe stop. I say to, but maybe stop once you get to number 10. We'll go over these first 10 and then I'm gonna get you started on the word problems because there are some different looking shapes that are more complicated to find your circumference on. So those of you at home, we're working on the first 10. I'm gonna walk you through the first big complicated one on the next page. You just have to be careful. Don't. You don't have the whole length, so you have to multiply by 2 first. Right, if you have this line goes all the way across, this is on half. So multiply by 2 and then use your number.
Pi,
Fine, and then multiply by 5. Actually, that first step first. Finish up the first 10, and we're getting into the crazy looking circle shapes. I'm gonna start sharing the screen with you guys that are at home. You two are pretty close to the bottom half of it. So then, quickly, what do we get for number 2? 5 times pi. Gwen, what'd you get?
15.70.
Correct. 15.70, you don't have to technically add the 0. If you did, it doesn't mean it's incorrect. But there's no difference. 15 times pi. Jordan.
47.1.
47.1. Good. All we're doing on this front page, very simple. Take the whole length, multiply it by pi. Parker, what did you get for number 4? For number 4.
17.21.
You are correct. What do we get for number 5? Gwen? 75.36. Again, all we're doing is taking them and multiplying them by pi. So our last diameter, 113.2. Jordan, what'd you get?
41.448.
41.448. So there might be some differences where your numbers are close, but a little bit further away. That's coming from either typing in 3.14 or using the actual pi button. So if you get an answer and it's slightly different, 41 point whatever, what did you say, 8 or something? 1.8 is very, very close to 40.5, so it just depends on what version of pi you use. So different doesn't technically mean incorrect. That's okay, Levant. There's a PDF in Google Classroom that we're just working through, practicing finding circumferences. Parker, what'd you get for number 7 whenever your radius is 2.5?
15.7.
Because we multiplied it by 2 first to get 5, and then multiplied it by pi to get about 15.7, correct?
6.28.
You got 6.28 here?
And then 31.4.
31.4 was the last one.
75.36.
Look at that, okay? So again, just be on the lookout for your last ones where you were given the radius, have to multiply it by 2, and then you get your answer. So those are your very, very simple version. Nothing to think about, just plug it in. We like those ones, right? They're very easy. Then we have this. This is asking you to find the perimeter. What's the perimeter? The length of the outside. So we can start with the easy part. We're finding the length of the outside. So if I start here, I'm going to ignore this curvy part. I have 5 feet plus 10 feet. So how many feet is that so far? 15 plus another 10. 25 plus 5. 30. So these straight edges, if I just count them and add them up, 5 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5 gives me 30 feet. That's not my whole perimeter though, because I'm missing this curvy part. So I'm going to redraw that space here. What does it look like?
Curved triangle.
Curved triangle. What else does it look like?
First pyramid.
Curved pyramid, if I flip it a little bit.
Cheese.
Okay, square. You guys are missing what I'm trying to go for here, which is fine.
A fourth circle.
There it is. So if I try to build a whole circle around it, it looks like it's a portion of a circle. How much of a circle does it look like?
1/4.
It looks like a quarter of a circle.
There's 5
So-
kids now. What? There's 5 kids now.
Yeah, because you were the 6th and you left and now you're back.
3, 4, 5.
You see how that works?
Counts wrong.
Okay, so we need to find the perimeter. We call the circumference, RJ, we're on number 11, which is on this page. Or the first one on that. We call the circumference of a circle the perimeter. So all I need to do to figure out and finish up finding the perimeter of this shape is find the circumference of this. So we know that we can find circumference taking 3.14 times the diameter. We're back. If that's my circle, what's the diameter? If I look at just this picture here, what do you think the diameter is going to be? Gwen?
Times it. Calculator. 31.4.
Okay, back step. What's the diameter?
Oh, 10?
10. That's why I started looking at you weird. So I'm like, why do you have to multiply that? Because the radius here is 5, so then the whole diameter is 10. So then if I want to find the circumference, that's what Gwen is doing when she's getting the number 3.14 times 10, which is, remind us what you got, Gwen.
31.4.
31.4. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. You're welcome. We are on number 11, which is just the first kind of ugly looking shape. Working with finding circumferences. Only part that you guys really missed was the first page. It was really simple, just a quick review. So my whole circumference is 31.4. But again, how much of the circle do we have? We have a fourth of the circle. So how do I find 1/4 of 31.4? Right? Divide by 4, okay? I'm multiplying it by 1/4. 31.4 times 1 is 31.4. 1 times 4 is 4. So that's why we're just dividing it by 4. So when you divide that by 4, what do you get? 7.8 feet. Okay. So those of you that just came in, can take a minute to fill that in. There's a lot happening in that problem. You guys can start thinking about the next one while we wait for them, and then I'm gonna go through the rest of these. You guys came in at the better part because they're the more complicated ones that I wanted to walk through with you. So if you did number 11 with us, you can start thinking about number 12. If you just came in, just copy in. Don't worry about the front. You don't worry about the front right now. Just worry about number 11. Fill number 11 in. And then we'll go back. So you're gonna start noticing with a lot of these, you have to figure out how much of the shape is given. And then going through it. So you're either copying in this answer because you just come back, or you're thinking about number 12. And we're gonna do it together.
So for number 12. Yes.
What's the diameter of that circle? 15. So then what's the number we use to multiply it by to get this circumference? Just trying to see where everybody is. Well, we're all kind of on the same page. Okay, so we seem to all be good with copying in number 11, so now we're just gonna start fresh. We're all in here. Number 12, we are building a fence around this shape. So the first thing you wanna ask yourself is what kind of shape is it? So what kind of shape is it?
Half circle.
It's a half circle. So that's important for us to know that when we find the circumference, we then have to figure out what half of it is. So just to review for those of you that just came in, circumference is equal to 3.14 times the diameter. What's the diameter of my circle? 15. Your diameter is the whole length. So then when I take my circumference and multiply it by 3.14, or sorry, when I take the diameter, it'll be 15 times 3.14. Jordan, what do you get? 47.1. So now we do have to be careful because that's the circumference of the whole circle. But again, how much of the circle do we have? Half. So that means I have to take, so this is step 1. Step 2 means I have to take 47.1 and multiply it by a half. So we can put the whole number over 1, multiply it straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. So really, when we're multiplying something by a half, since it's a half circle, you're dividing it by 2. 23.55. Some of you, as I came around, I saw you had 47.1. That's your first step. So you're good if you got there, but you always have to ask yourself, is it a whole circle? If it's not, you're multiplying it by whatever fraction of a circle it is. We good with that one? What shape do you think we have in the next one?
Upside down pack.
How'd I know that's where we were going there with you there, sir?
Upside down Pac-Man.
It's an upside down Pac-Man. RJ wasn't in the room when we were shouting out all of these weird statements to begin with.
3/4 of a circle.
It's 3/4 of a circle. So that means I find my circumference and multiply it by 3/4. There is a little bit of a difference here, because again, we're finding the fencing. So I'm gonna figure out 3/4 of that circumference, which is gonna give me this much. But then if I only have fencing from here to here, and I have a bunch of animals in here, I can't leave out these two straight edges. So I have to find that circumference, and then I also have to figure out the straight edges. But just starting with the first step, figuring out our circumference, we know we need to take 3.14 times whatever the diameter is. What's the diameter of that circle?
10.
Right, because I can see the 5 here is only the half length. That means my whole length must be 10. So then 3.14 times 10, our circumference is 31.4. Again, if you get there, that's good. You're not doing it wrong. We're just not done.
And it's Pac-Man.
Because that's my full circumference. But like we said, we need to figure out 3/4 of it. So that means we need to take our fraction and multiply it by 3/4. So what that means we're gonna do, take 31.4 in your calculators and multiply it by 3.
What is it? What?
31.4 times 3. Multiplying by 3/4 means our first step is to multiply by 3. What'd you get?
94.2.
94.2. Now we're gonna take that number and divide it by 4. Multiplying by 3/4 means multiply by 3 and divide by 4. So we multiplied by 3 and got about 93 something. Divide by 4 and what's our final answer?
23.55.
23.55. So again, huh?
The same answer.
It's the same answer again. But again, keep in mind that we're not really done. Because all that 23.5 represents is the circular piece. And if we're talking about building a fence, to keep a bunch of animals in, I have to make sure that I am also buying fence for this part and this part. So Jordan, what do you do?
I said, I was gonna say, should I start heading down?
Yes, that's more important. Go get your picture. So if this length is 5, what is this length? I have a 5 here. What do you think this is gonna be? Bella? 5. So if my circular portion is 23.5, and I take 2 5s, what do I get when I add 2 5s together? 10. So I have an extra 10 foot of fencing. So if I add that extra 10 foot of fencing to 23.5, what do you get? 23.5 plus 10. 33.5 feet. So you're gonna see a lot of us getting to this first step, which is great, but sometimes you have to think about what fraction of the shape is there. I had half of a circle, so I multiplied it by a half. I had 3/4 of a circle, so I multiplied it by 3/4. And then be aware also if there are some straight edges that you need to add in.
Why is your name in this?
Is that me?
Why can't it be a different? It can't.
Because I clearly want to be a farmer.
Farmer, sure. Why'd you pick this job?
It's all that's available.
All I want you to do right now, so now it says we're building 2 other fences. I can't decide between 2 shapes. Here I have a whole circle. Here I have 3/4 of a circle. Don't worry about this cost per fencing yet. All I want you to do is tell me the circumference of circle 1 and the circumference of circle 2.
I already did the money part.
You said, yeah, you said you wanted to be a farmer. You don't need to have a job application to be a farmer.
Correct. Maybe I don't have enough land. And I need a job to save up money to just buy
Move to
land.
Texas. They got a bunch of them,
Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, but land is expensive.
and they don't have water.
Texas has water.
They didn't get that much water, do they?
Does anybody else want a calculator? Do you boys want a calculator? Because you weren't in here, I forget, whatever, I passed it out. So you're just finding the circumference. Circumference of the second one, but also the perimeter. What's that say?
What's the circumference again? I'm getting confused.
Circumference is when you take pi, 3.14 times the diameter. Find the circumference of number one. And then circumference, kind of, for the second one, but you're really looking for the perimeter because it's like the one we just looked at where you have those straight edges. So you'll break it. Don't worry about the cost stuff, just find your circumference. And then we're gonna go through it. What's the diameter? Select the circle.
14.
Multiply that by pi, and that gives you your circumference.
Okay, what's the high?
3.14. It's always the same number. Always the same. Here's some weird math. Wait, is this what you had before? Oh, I look at this, that's right. Okay, that's right, because I just glanced at it and saw that.
These times we got
Let's check our answers to the first circle. What's the diameter of the first circle?
I know,
Parker, go ahead.
45.53.
So that's your final answer, so that's good. But just backstepping, what's the diameter?
14.5.
Right. So I have 3.14
So that was actually at the
times
answer.
14.5. No, I'm just showing the work for it. So then when you multiply this, Parker, what did you get? Tell me again the number you just said.
45.53.
45.53 feet. So that one was very easy because it's a full circle. Again, if we look at that second one, what kind of a circle is it?
Pac-Man.
The Pac-Man circle. How much of a circle is it?
7.
3/4.
Oh, yeah, 3/4.
Okay? So I'm gonna start just exactly the same. Find the diameter. This is my half length, so that's my radius. So then what's the diameter?
7. Wait,
7 and 7.
14.
14.
14.
Your radius, multiply it by 2 to get your diameter. So your diameter is 14.
Basically, 45.53.
So 3.14 times 14. What is our circumference? 3.14 times 14. Tell what you get. 43 point, what? Okay, that's what I got too. Again, that's your full circle. If I didn't have this chunk missing, it would be 43.9. But again, we only have 3/4, so that means I have 43.9 times 3/4. And when we multiply by 3/4, in your calculators, type in 43.9 times 3. Type it in. 43.9 times 3. Aiden?
131.7.
131.7. Now divide that number by 4.
43.9 times
Times 3. Divide it by 4. Multiplying by 3/4 means multiply by 3, divide by 4. So what do we get when we take that final number and divide it by 4?
131.7.
That's what you get when you multiply by 3. Now finish it out, divide it by 4.
This divided by 5.
What do we get? 32.9. Okay, so right now,
Wait a minute, Jen.
hello,
Do you have Madison Cross with you today?
yes I do.
Would you ask her to pack up and go to the library, please?
Yep, I'll send her down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And they just colored in enough.
I was just waiting until I was done talking. You know where you're going? Where the library is. It's
Libraries,
right across from the cafeteria.
yeah,
Just yeah.
well, it's, where the cafeteria is, it's to the left.
Yeah, you sit right.
So if you're going to the cafeteria, it's right to the left.
Yeah, okay.
Where the security guard is.
So again, to finish it out, this is the last one we're doing. My nice colored in circle is 32.9 feet. But again, if I'm building fencing, I can't leave this whole big gap here because then all the animals are gonna get out.
Nah.
So if this is a 7, what is this length also?
7.
7. So if I add 7 and 7, what do you get?
14.
So then add your extra 14. And what is your final length? RJ?
It is 46.9.
46.9 feet. Okay? So those are our perimeters. That's how much fencing I need to buy.
Are you recording?
Yeah, thanks.
You sure? Because it's not up there.
I just record this. I don't record the Google Meet, because what's the point of me recording a bunch of screens, right? Are we good with these two? To finish it up, fencing is $5 per foot. So if I have 45.5 feet, in your calculators, do 45.5 times 5. How much is it gonna cost me to build the first fence, Bella? $227.65. Can't change it.
Nah.
For option 2, I need to buy 46.9 feet of fencing. If it's $5 per foot, multiply that by 5, how much does it cost me to purchase option B? Glenn?
$234.05.
So which one makes more sense for me to build? RJ?
Option A.
Option A because it's cheaper. So we can circle that one
But
if you want
if it
to.
was expensive, that would mean it's much durable.
Possibly. So there is some things to consider there when you're doing something like this. The cheaper stuff you're buying, it probably comes with the quality of it. So if it's more expensive, it's probably better quality.
So option B.
Maybe option B, they're not too different. So maybe I would consider option B because of the quality. If it's only
It's a little
A $7
expensive. It's
difference.
only up like by how much? It's only up by $7. It's only up like $7. That's not expensive.
So you guys at home, we're not doing that last problem. If you did, that is okay. It's a little bit too much to finish up in 5 minutes. You guys at home, make sure you submit this work into Google Classroom where it's posted. You guys leave these on your desks. Alright,
So basically just submit these.
just leave it on your desk. You don't have to worry about it.
Take my.
No, just leave it on your desk. And maybe in your life you don't have to submit it anyway. Just gonna take it from me. We're just gonna take it.
You want to mark this done?
I don't want you guys to do anything, but just leave it on your desk. That's all. If it makes you feel better in Google Classroom to get it out of your little checklist thing, then go ahead. I don't need, if you're in the room and I know you did something, I never need you to talk to me via Google Classroom, unless you just want to get all of the notifications out here. But once you guys at home are done, you are free to sign out, check back in 9th period,
I was thinking.
What about all the entries on this first page? There's what everyone has to enter with.
Nice work, Parker.
You can leave it on there. Leave it on the desk. I can pick it up. I normally kind of sanitize them.
I was waiting here for civil law.
Oh, Sorry.
We just stand by the line.
Yeah, you just had to stand there
For
for like 15 minutes and then you finally went